Hey, I'm Beat. Join me for Family Altar on Right TV Uganda. Welcome back to Right TV, where it's about revival, it's about inspiration, transformation, and edutainment. And our show is Family Altar. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you have called people to watch. And we are on all social platforms. So follow us and let us continue the conversation. I'm your host, Beat. And in the studio, I'm with Reverend Jasper. And we are ready to roll. Are you ready?
Very ready. Thank you for hosting me once again. I'm delighted to be on a program I love so much.
All right.
Thank you, Beat.
So, Reverend Jasper, by now you have spoken to us about the different perspectives, different mindsets, different worldviews that relate to family life and how it has evolved over time.
Yes.
Where women used to traditionally stay at home, the man was a king, and then the woman worked and stayed at home, to where they evolved, they got educated, they got into school, and then the dynamics changed. The challenges began to come where the man thinks, but I'm the boss here. This woman should be able to serve me, and work was not valued in monetary terms. And then now the woman is working, the woman is bringing in income, and you really showed us how the man could have a problem adjusting with that, traditionally speaking, and how that has a solution from the Bible and how you have done it in your home. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Reverend, I want to bring you around. There's this scenario, because we were talking about what is happening. Now, there's this scenario where now, yes, the women have got educated, the woman has gone to the marketplace, she's working, she's earning, and sometimes even the man doesn't have the job, or the woman earns more than the man. And then she begins to feel like, you know, I'm working, and then comes home and then sits, gets on her phone, you know, and then the man comes home and naturally wants to find a wife, they talk, find something to eat. Yeah. In fact, you let the producer put for you a small clip, and then we'll take our conversation from there.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello? Hellos? Honey? I'm back.
Welcome back, darling.
Oh, darling. I'm back.
Welcome back, honey.
But very tired, exhausted. Oh, is there food in the house?
I've ordered for food from outside.
From outside? Couldn't you cook food yourself?
Hey. I'm coming from work and I'm tired.
And so?
Come on. We've both been at work, we are exhausted, so you do not expect me to cook.
No, but it is your duty as a wife in the house to prepare food.
Really?
Yes.
We have already talked about this and I'm not ready for a fight.
You know what? Then stop working. Stop working, but make sure that there is food all the time here in the house.
What? So you think my parents paid for my education to be sitting at home and cook?
But I married you. I married you, and actually not only marrying you, I paid for you.
So?
Keep here and fulfill your duties.
Dream on.
Okay, so Reverend, you saw that clip. It was a funny one, right?
Very interesting. And
but you know those scenarios are practical.
Yes,
they are
and
real.
In my mind, I'm asking myself, the mode of that man, the mode of that woman, whom do they look to? How is their communication? Exactly. How come that somebody enters and somebody is still on the phone?
Exactly.
Then how come somebody, without even asking very many questions, is quickly on what is expected to be brought to the table? The discussion even was like, I liked when the lady said, I have sent for meaning she's actually getting from her pocket to pay for the what?
She's empowered.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Because normally, some would even say, bring the money. Or, where did you expect me to get the what? The food. But the whole thing now revolves around power. Who is more powerful?
Yes.
Who should do what?
Yes.
And you see, these small things are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
Many people will think I have bought her a big vehicle, big what, but these small things, even the way you approach your wife, or even the what your wife is doing and you come in, okay, I checked. The clip is showing that he comes in.
She comes in and she's busy and
it
she's
is
like...
business as what? As usual. So,
she even said, dream on.
Dream on. In other words,
because the man was
okay, even if you refuse, please don't make it a dream.
Yeah.
So it presents now two serious situations.
Wow.
One is what we call expectation of that man. Expectation.
Yes.
And so expectation has two aspects. One, the man expects the wife to cook, serve, and what? Now, the wife also expects the man to understand that we have all been working,
Yes.
we are all tired, and sending for food from a takeaway is good enough. And so, that's number one, expectation. Number two is now what we call accountability. That you see, I reach home, I need to have 3 levels of accountability. Number one is time, and time is for both workers.
Yes.
When I got up, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, I have been thinking this. The woman also needed to have accounted that, by the way, I have just also reached home. So, and accountability of time can be done during the day.
Yes.
It shouldn't be when you are now at home.
Yes.
I have a wife who works, and I know Beat, you have ever worked, but there is normally a message.
Yes.
So like, for example,
charge.
my wife knows she's now at work, but she knows that I am in the recording studio.
Yes.
And I had said it will be up to this time. That's accountability of time. Secondly, is what they call accountability of treasures, the monies.
Yes.
Now, this is interesting in our culture because we have what they call chikazi money, that have made money, but it is for me as a woman.
Chikazi money.
Then, for me man, I have made money, it is for me as a man.
Yes.
But really, all those treasures should be for the family.
Basket. Yes.
That even what we are eating, I know where it came from. And in terms of treasure, I know that my wife is the one who shops in Nakasero at this time.
Yes.
And therefore, if there is no money, we need it too. We, both of us. Then number 3 is talents. Talents. Now, the challenge of today is that many girls will enter marriage when they don't know how to cook.
True.
And one time, Beat, it was interesting. A man came complaining. They had just gotten married, that my wife does not know how to cook. But I asked him, do you know how to cook? He said no. Then I said, if you do not know how to cook, how do you expect your wife to know? Then I asked about the sister. Do you have sisters at home? Yes. Do they know how to cook? No. Then I said, this is the situation you are in. So both of you go for a catering lessons, so that you begin with the, burnt offerings. I call them burnt offerings.
Yes, I know.
You cook poorly and the food is burnt. You begin feeding on burnt offerings, but let it be a process of nurturing one another towards what you want to see. Because it is also not wrong for a man to cook.
It is
in modern times.
But Reverend, you have a lot of work.
It is also not wrong for a woman to cook.
I know.
But, the current situation is that because traditionally this was it, I'm challenging it. But when you read the Bible, this man, Jacob, actually used to cook for the mother and the father. Also the brother, the twin brother, go and get game, cook. Meaning, traditional again, men were actually cooks. So instead
because
of
you don't see Rebecca being the one cooking.
exactly no. So instead of now saying bring me food, let me sit now the traditional model, and she challenged it so that dream on. And I don't know whether they fought or not.
So maybe she may have been right. Maybe the man may not have been right to ask. But I want you to speak into this current situation also of the modernism, postmodernism, radical feminism, where it's like this other attitude that has gone to the other extreme. Because we have seen, yes, men and women should be able to do all the work, share, whether at home or at work. But at what point can also women get it wrong?
Yeah, the point is
especially
actually on the basis that I can't what? Because I'm challenged. In other words, dream on. That's wrong. Even if you had sent for food, there is a way you need to respond.
Even the attitude with which she said, by the way, she said,
and what you are doing.
Dream on.
Yes, dream on. Now, if you're a husband, I don't know how you dream on without fighting. And that's the challenge,
especially if
because now that's the source of conflict. And because we are now facilitating, so modernism facilitates conflict rather than people being humble and saying, by the way, look here, honey, I have been, and I normally tell people, beginning with the name you call that person. Look here, darling. Then you can't say dream on after
when
darling.
When you're saying darling.
Yes, because look here, darling.
That's
I came late and what and what. But then, again, we are dealing with the symptoms rather than the root.
True.
Because the husband needed to know that, by the way, this woman has just what? Arrived. And I was wondering in the clip, why didn't they come home together?
Maybe they are working in different spaces.
Yes, maybe. But sometimes it is also nice to create a space for that movement together, so that you communicate. Secondly,
you have to be intentional.
Secondly, you all reach home tired and it will be known. Number 3, you will now work together towards sorting out a problem of food.
Reverend, I've actually dealt with some cases where the woman starts work, and actually the man pushes like, you have also to bring income, we can't sustain this, their young family, children are starting school, the woman goes and starts work, but in the man's mind, the woman should still perform the home duties, yes, as if she's home, a house. So how, because if the things are going to change and the women are going to go into the marketplace, there are some dynamics at home also to change, and that's what you say. And then both of us have to know how to clean. Both of us have to take care of children.
And we should get a maid.
Yeah,
and the question sometimes, who pays the maid? Okay. But you see, again, that's the dynamic of lack of communication and agreement. Amos 3:3 says, can two work together without agreeing? And so the biggest challenge today is not whether to work or not, but whether we have agreed. But
Reverend, you know, you might also communicate, but you actually don't have the facts. I'll tell you, I left my job at some point because I had a young family. Sit home and take care of my kids, and especially because my husband was working out of town. And I sat home for 6 years. But I'll tell you, I sat home and then I said, what am I supposed to do? Because I didn't have parenting skills. So where do we get these skills? You're saying communicate, but you also need to know what you're communicating. You need to know what to expect about a marriage. You need to know, how do we get to know so that we lay the right foundation and maintain the nurturing work?
I think 2 major things there. Number 1 is really about being humble. Because, again, in our traditional setup, it is about power and who has it and who can control. So for me, as a person, I had to be humble to know that when my wife goes to work, she passes through what I pass through. And therefore, the solution is possibly get a maid so that the cooking, because again, we are dealing with different spaces, that you expect a person from work, possibly after picking children, you said you have 4 children, you take them to school, you've picked them, possibly traffic jam of Kampala, Now you reach home. Even if you cook, we call it in Runyankore Ruchiga, that food will be very hot. Why? Because you have cooked it with some level of anger. You are not doing it out of service.
How do you say it in Runyankore Ruchiga?
Ebyo kurya birosya byatekirwa omuhashoni. You get it. You've cooked, yes, but you are not cooking out of service.
Attitude.
It is cooking because I am forced to. It is a duty. You left your job because you loved your children. I guess your husband was not, of course, economically we are reducing, but I'm with her. Why? Because there are those 4 beings whom we need to nurture. I'm using the word we deliberately.
Yes.
It is between husband and we need to nurture to a certain level. Then when you applied and went back, I guess many things never changed. So what I'm saying is, number 1, ensure that you are on that level, being humble. You are communicating at a humble level. Okay. Then second and more importantly, what is the end?
What is the end?
This fight,
yes,
what do I need to look to? What is the end? What do I need at the end? If I have married this woman, if I can address for her, and I'm using that word deliberately, what can't I do to maintain my marriage? So, currently, the priority is not family and marriage. Priorities have changed to work and economics, to this social media.
Wow. And
therefore, normally when you are doing something, look at the end from the beginning. And that's what godliness means. That beatress will look at, okay, what is this opportunity cost? If I want my marriage to work, if I want my children to have a mother, what must I do? Now, if you answer that, many things will change.
So you're actually saying, God says without vision, people perish.
People perish.
So you have to have the end in mind. Yes. What is the goal? And what are priorities? What are your priorities? Because for me, those are questions God asked me. As a young officer in Bank of Uganda, I started saying, I'm stressed now, home, now here. The father is not around. I have to run with the child to the clinic at night. I'm stressed in the morning. I go to work late. I have to drop them to school. I'm like, God. And then he says, sit down. What is your life about?
Exactly.
What is your life about?
So what are your priorities?
Exactly.
So when you now answer the priority question, then the job, work, becomes what we call additional roles.
It took me 2 years to be convinced.
Yes, even money for you became an additional role. Money is a helper.
Secondary, yes.
Yeah, it is a processor. It is not the end. But when people focus on instant coffee, instant what, instant message, instant, then they lose the bigger vision that, by the way, I entered this marriage as a covenant and should continue. And so normally, in conflict, I never asked my wife to give this as an example. In conflict, I normally want to see the end. And of course, things come. One time, she used it to look after chicken, and we had very many eggs to go and sell. So she put the eggs in my vehicle and putting mine in quotes and said, let me drive and sell them in Nansana. Then she sent me in her vehicle to take the eggs to Mutungo. And that was okay. So when I was going to the vehicle, she entered my vehicle and putting again my vehicle, and then said, there is no fuel. I said, yeah, you are going to sell your eggs, go and put fuel. She said, no, give me fuel. I went back into the bed, not to come out again.
You went to the bedroom?
Yes.
To stay there?
Yeah, for her, she thought I have gone to collect money. For me, I went to stay there. I'm taken for granted. What and what? What does she think she is? All these eggs are hers. Now, then
you decided.
Then the spirit told me, and I guess he is the spirit, get out and give her fuel.
Mama.
So I went out.
Jesus.
But inside me, I wasn't serving. I said, how much fuel? She said, I think 20 can do. Now, how much
Honestly.
peace had I lost because of how much? 20,000. In fact, I even paid like a penalty. I paid her 40. You get it? And from that
But it
day,
took humility.
from that day, I normally count the cost. Okay, at the end, what do I want?
Yes.
At the end,
yes.
if I want peace with my wife, what can't I do?
Yes.
If I want to work well with her,
Yes.
what can't I do? If I want to come to the studio and be with Beat for 3 hours, and my wife knows it is safe, what can I do so that I facilitate towards a certain what? A certain vision.
Wow. So you're saying even to manage a family,
Yes.
so navigating through family challenges
Yes.
where a woman works involves having a vision,
Yes.
knowing the end,
Yes.
having your priorities,
Yes, and being humble.
And being humble.
Because this
and keeping
power,
accountable.
yes,
So you keep asking yourself questions, what should I do now? What is the right thing to do now? And there's a price to pay.
yes, and how can I meet her expectations? Okay, I have come home late. She has sent for, in the clip, I will again rewatch that clip.
I know.
She has sent for a takeaway.
Hey, imagine.
Okay. What were my expectations after she says she's tired? And when she says my dream on, what are my expectations after dreaming on? You get it? Yes. And so it is the whole lot of change, but vision, know where
vision.
you
So
are
this is on the part of the man,
yes,
but also on the part of the woman.
Yes.
What is the place of humility? What is the place of respect?
Yes.
Because I saw the attitude.
Plus accountability.
Accountability, you know, accountability.
Yes.
So the man has come home.
Yes.
There's that attitude of respect.
Yes.
That she didn't even say welcome. She didn't stop looking at her phone, by the way. You're like, hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm home. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, really?
I sent for food from a takeaway. Yes,
she didn't even look at her husband and say good evening, welcome back.
So again, in a nutshell, being humble, no. What about accountability? Totally nothing. She never counted for her time. She never counted for her talents. She never counted for her treasures. What about vision? Okay. What did she want to see? A fight. I guess she was itching for a fight. Of course, we can't know how long the volcano has been being built. But I don't think she was looking at her husband. Because dream on. Even a child, you don't tell them.
Even if you're offended, that's not a good thing to say.
So I don't think she had a vision to even maintain the job, but also maintain her family. And I now love women, and I have met many who have said I have hung on simply because I know where I want to take my family. Yes, and I love that because in spite of the challenges, they say.
There's a goal.
In spite of your challenges, I mean, earning from Bank of Uganda.
My father has never forgiven me.
Yes,
who lives a job in Bank of Uganda?
It means your wires are not necessarily connected.
I know.
They can say get a maid, get a nurse, get what? But yours was, what do I want from my children? And let me tell you, God still gave you the money.
Yes.
So you have your family.
We have to negotiate.
So priority is now.
Yes.
If you lose your family for the money, you'll never get your family back. But if you lose money for your family, you'll get money back.
True.
We can repeat
do I look
for
like
listeners
I don't have money now?
That if I lose money for my family, I will get the money back. Wealth can be gotten back.
Yes.
But a family, a husband, a wife, children, they will never be gotten back. And so our priority must be family first, then resources to facilitate the family. That's the kingdom principle, that you focus on the family, then God will give you. So your vision, God will give you provisions. But for many of us go for provisions, work, without focusing on the vision. So even if you get the money, you actually don't know what to use it for. It becomes a means of conflict. Titles, vehicles, and what. Many vehicles in the garage, but you are fighting. A big bed, but you can't sleep in it. Breakfast, the table is laid, but everybody is saying, I will eat from out.
My bedroom.
Okay. For me, I don't want that life, and I can't live it. I rather go back and say
So
yes.
Reverend G, I would like you to speak into now, like a young couple that is starting out.
Yes.
So this is a boy. He has a traditional mindset.
Yes.
Traditional, typical. And then you have a girl, a wife. She's a young wife. She has grown up empowered.
Modern.
She has gone through school. She has her master's.
Yes.
So now they're looking at each other like, they dated, they were friends. Of course, they were eating in hotels for lunch, and now they're in a home, and this hell just breaks loose. And then they come to you and they want to know where to start. Where to those foundations, how do they start?
So these days, even when I'm counseling before marriage, I go for introduction to the foundations.
That one.
In other words, who am I? Where I grow from?
Yes.
Whom I know there are those who grew up like me, 10 children, 7 boys, 7 girls, polygamous relationship, 5 boys, 5 girls, polygamous relationship, my wife, daughter of a clergy. So we had to know all of those. Because for me, I grew up saying, hate for me, the other one. So when we married, I would tell her, by the way, that one, be careful. She couldn't understand how
you came from different perspectives.
You can even be saved and you have somebody you hate. What? I can't what? So we had to break those foundations and begin rebuilding. For me to break that polygamous foundation totally, and know that God designed me to get this woman. And you don't think it is as easy.
No.
Why? Because breaking a mindset is more like rebuilding the whole house. So we need to now bring those young people back to the basics. Who are you? What do you normally do? What do you get? Even studies. One is a doctor, so they like analyzing. Another one is a social scientist like you. They like researching. So for every phone call, they may want to know who is calling. For then the other one, because of the way they studied, they say, this one.
So you're saying they should know who they are in terms of identity. Because I think lack of identity crisis can cause a sense of insecurity. And then it causes conflict. Because it's so foundational.
And you see, when you identify something, then you will have a policy to solve it. But then I do not know her. I don't know how we just met, we married.
So you also need to go through the narratives that you picked on your way.
And then so go through your partners and then see how to merge what is good and eliminate what is bad. And again, that's not as easy. That's why premarital counseling is good.
It's very important.
Post-marital counseling is even better.
Based on biblical principles. Because we have these also these solutions from other secular sources.
Because the modernism
have you seen
will
books?
say
10 ways to do this.
And then solutions. I read actually 10 ways on to sustain a marriage, and that man is divorced.
Oh my God.
As long as it is not biblically based.
The reference point.
It is a cup of what? A cup of. So they can give solutions. Others will say you go and beat her. Now. That is
so understanding who you are, maybe understanding your purpose in life.
Your purpose, then your pattern, what they like, and then you move towards that.
And then God's perspective to marriage.
God's perspective. Then broadly, where do we really want to go after 10 years? If Beat is met with Baingana, Bisangwa, the husband, what is this family about? These children who are coming from us, are they proud to be called?
I know.
Even our children, because I have met children whom I counsel and they tell me, don't tell me about my father, for example. I say, what?
So sad.
Never tell me about my father.
Forget him.
I don't want to meet him, forget him. They begin putting things. So the question is, what does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world
And lose their own soul.
and they lose their own soul?
So they need to go back to God's perspective or God's solution
Yes.
to marriage.
To marriage.
When he was instituting marriage,
Yes.
what did he have in mind?
Exactly.
What are those pillars?
Yes,
of
the
marriage?
pillars, number one, is that the idea of marriage comes from God.
Yes.
Genesis 2:18.
Yes.
Genesis 2:20, he caused the man to sleep. I was wondering once, how would he cause man to what?
To
sleep. It is because the traditional perspective of man is fight, fight, fight. But he causes Adam to sleep. That whole Jasper slept when he married. So that when Musiji, comes, when I'm from Kigezi College, Mutobele, Muchiga, a fighter. But now he caused me to sleep. Then he took the rib model of the woman. That's number 3, that women are made in the image of God. Work is actually godly. To say woman go to work is godly. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says woman stay at home. No. They are homemakers. Titus chapter 2 verse 5. A homemaker doesn't have to stay at home.
Wow.
Because I know it from my wife. She comes from work.
Reverend, in 1 minute, you speak to the audience and tell them, talk to these
what
couples.
I'm speaking
Your last words?
My last word on this is that even as we navigate throughout this, let's go back to our God. Because when you know God, you respect your partner. Because they are all created in the image of God. And by the way, you will begin making a way where there seems to be no way.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, Reverend J, if you allow me to call that.
Yes.
This was from the show Family Altar. I've been your host, Beat, and I had a guest, Reverend Jasper. We've had a good time talking about navigating through family challenges related to a working wife and mother. Thank you so much. This is Right TV Uganda. You'll find us on all social platforms. We want you to subscribe. We want you to follow us. These complete recordings are going to be on YouTube. You can follow us and even listen to some of the previous Reverend J's sharing, and you will be blessed. God bless you.
Blessed.